Good evening and welcome to VI Voices. I'm Emil Henderson III along with Clint Ferris, Boy McFarland, and Yoki Hanley. Tonight we will continue our election coverage as we have on our show former Senator Almando Liburd, who was former Senator at large. He's seeking to return to the legislature in the 31st legislature. We also have Mr. Arthur Joseph, who again is seeking election to the legislature. And so we'll be talking with them, get a little bit more feel about them, find out where they were, what they've been doing, and what they have planned for us if they're able to be successful in the 31st legislature. So when we return, we'll have former Senator Almando Liburd. Back in a moment. Good evening and welcome back to VI Voices. We have with us former Senator Liburd. Welcome to VI Voices.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Now, for those who are watching the show who may not know who you are, let us know who you are and why have you chosen to come back into politics to run for the 31st legislature of the Virgin Islands.
All right. First of all, thank you for this invitation. My name is Almando Liburd. I come from the little island of St. John. I've been a senator for 7 terms, and I've decided to come back because the people of the Virgin Islands asked me to come back. In essence, what they said is that when they saw the list of individuals who were running for the at-large seat, they knew that they needed some experience, somebody who understands the job, especially in these times. And so I said, I love the Virgin Islands. This is my home. I couldn't sit idly by, see things happening and don't try to be a part of it. So I'm trying to be a part of it. I'm trying to bring a solution to the problem.
Mr. Liburd,
yes.
You say you're from the little island of St. John.
That's right.
Right now we have people on that same little island complaining about this tax issue that they're in and the property tax issue.
Yes.
And they're very, very vocal. And their concerns about this tax issue and not being able to afford paying this tax.
Right.
You have a solution for that? Any plans to bring forward?
Oh, definitely I plan to address it, but it's not a simple solution, because we had a case called Burn
Yes.
Plant. That case where the island of St. John used to have what you call a cap, a 10% cap, because of the same reason the tax was so high. The court ruled that was unconstitutional, and so they had to go back and try to change the formula to set it. The problem we have with St. John is that the assessment value of property is very high compared to the St. Thomas and St. Croix. And the real issue is, how do you find a formula that's equal, that's on par territory-wide? We cannot set a tax schedule for St. John alone. So it's going to take a number of issues. One, the government of the Virgin Islands, the second largest amount of money comes in is property taxes. And so they use that in terms of bonding issue. They use that in how we run the government. And somewhere along the line, they have moved the millage rate to assess it to a way that they can use for bonding. And so we have to go back and discuss with the OMB. It's a complex issue. It's not an issue that you can just say overnight. But there are little things we can do. In California, Florida, they tax property different ways. For example, if you live on your property alone, you tax a certain way. If you have property that you don't use, you're taxed another way. If you have income, if you make an income from your property, you are taxed a certain way. So we have to develop ways to assist our people in taxing. So it's a real big study, but I intend to give it my all to do it. And we have to use examples from throughout the states.
Mr. Liburd.
Yes.
The last time you was there, I think you were, one would say that you are a very powerful at-large senator, because you really control that swing vote when it mattered. And I think eventually that caused your that basically caused you your seat. Because
really?
No, I believe no. If you think about Craig Bassinger, the Crucians appreciated Craig Bassinger.
Yes, because he did nothing.
No, not because, but he was. I wouldn't say he did nothing. But he was a vote that we could have. He was a vote that we felt we could count on, and we considered him as St. Croix senator.
May I respond to that?
No, but let me finish.
Okay.
do you consider yourself a St. Croix senator? And when it matters, are you going to stand with St. Croix? Because a stand St. Croix means a strong St. Croix economically means a strong Virgin Islands overall.
Of course, a strong St. Croix means a strong Virgin Islands. If we look at the picture now, St. Croix must be in the forefront of anything we do. But the at-large center has a big responsibility. The responsibility is not just St. Croix, it's the Virgin Islands. It begins with home, which is St. John. You are the main voice of that island. You have to take a
Okay,
lot of
stop
those
right there.
issues.
Wait, stop right there.
You're the large
No,
center.
Yeah.
wait, here's the problem I have with that. And the reason I have with that is I've always believed that at large means what it means.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
at
that
large.
anybody
Exactly.
should be able to run for an at-large seat. So whether you live in St. Croix, St. Thomas, or St. John, anybody should run for an at-large seat because it means what it means. Now, I think, in my view, I think it is illegal to mandate that the at-large senator come from St. John. There is a district, St. Thomas, St. John. You want to run for the Senate? You can also run for one of the 7 seats, even if you live in St. John. But I asked Ronnie Jones, who was on the show already, this same question I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
What is your understanding of the at-large senator's role in the legislature?
Yeah, first of all, let me go back to what you said earlier. Until the law has changed, that the at-large senator comes from anywhere else, we just have to go by that.
Right.
I understand what
Right,
you're
right,
saying,
right.
and I understand your position.
Right.
Now, what I understand the at-large senator, the at-large senator is a person that came from St. John because of a formula that was used to try to give a voice to St. John. Because the island in itself doesn't have enough people. In a one-man, one-vote issue, St. John cannot have a seat.
But before we
So
did
they're the
that,
same thing.
St. John had a seat.
Yeah, it was
Before we went to this at-large one
right,
person,
but you
they
know what
had their
happened
own
then?
seat.
It was districting at the time. It was a municipal
But we had
government.
3 districts.
Yeah, it was a municipal government. But when that changed, the whole thing changed, and that's where we are.
I don't agree. But that's a different show.
You have to agree because that's where we are.
Here's why I don't agree.
That's
The
where we
reason
are.
why I don't agree is because the reason why we have the structure we have really had nothing to do with giving St. John a voice.
Really?
No, it didn't. It had to do with changing the structure of power from one district to the other.
Exactly.
Which is from here in St. Croix to St.
St.
Thomas.
And who did that?
And I don't know who do it. Mike here isn't who do it. Mike here is it happened. And so it really had nothing to do with giving you a voice because St. John was its own district. And St. John had its own senator who would be able to say, I'm looking out for St. John first.
So,
But when you're running for at
So
large,
are you
supposed to
saying
look out for
that
the
no one
entire
should look out for
territory.
St. John?
No, that's
No,
not,
we're not saying
no,
that.
what
Well,
I'm
then what
saying
you're
is,
saying.
if you're the at-large senator,
Yeah.
what I'm saying for me, and I'm going
Yes.
to talk for me, when you are the at-large senator,
Right.
I don't want to hear my at-large senator saying, I am looking out for St. John. Because that's not your job. The people who live in St. Thomas and St. John, who are the senators for St. Thomas St. John district, that's their job.
I disagree
Your
with you.
job is to ensure that you are working for St. John, for St. Thomas, and for St.
Exactly.
Croix, all 3.
Because you're voted for.
But that's not what you said, though. You said you gotta look out for St.
No,
John.
no, you must play the tape back.
No, that's
I
what
said
you
you look
say.
for St. John first.
Right.
That's your
You
first
say-
responsibility. That does not mean I'm not looking for St. Croix or St. Thomas.
But that's
Then
not
should
so
not
come
be your
on.
It
first
shouldn't be your first
Of
responsibility.
course it should be.
No, how can it be if you're getting votes from
I disagree
outside?
with you.
Okay, well, we're not going to agree on that philosophically.
No, we
So let's
can't.
move on to something else.
Yes.
All
The
right.
boy, good, ask
Go ahead.
That's the
Ask your
question.
que-
It was pertaining to that, but we'll move on from that.
Okay.
But let me just clear it up so that people misunderstand. The at-large senator has an awesome responsibility. They have to be like the buffer between islands. For example,
The checks and balances.
yes, and that position there is one that requires at times you have to support the district of St. Thomas St. John, and at times you support St. Croix. I have
agree.
done that. I know what it is. The record is clear.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Now-
Tom, go ahead.
No. Let's start.
Yes.
Economy.
Okay.
We need money in the Virgin Islands.
True.
Where do you start?
Okay, let's start with the economy. This is my plan for several phases you have to take. One, to me, the first thing is energy. We have to look at our economy. And why I say energy? Because businesses aren't going to come when they got to pay this high rate of cost for energy. So we have to find a way to address that. And this is my plan how we address it, unlike what we're seeing out there. I know we have solar and we have the propane and wind, but those are entities that doesn't really do the job the way we would want it to be done. My plan is this. When I was in the Senate, I had a bill called bottling water. I intend to bring that bit up now again. And you know what my plan is? If you look at water throughout the world today, Aquafina, Dasani, Glacier, these are multi-billion-dollar industries. We have no such industries in Korea, nor the Virgin Islands. My plan is for us to go to, I'm going to WAPA, to the WAPA Governing Board, and I'm going to say to you all, folks, it's time we start exporting water. We start by taking over the brown soda company here in St. Croix, or any entity like that. We start to bottle it, and if you look at tropical shipping, everything goes up empty. So we load up the cases. You look at Nebraska, you look at California, all those places, they're searching for water. What do they do out there? They do a thing called fracking. Fracking is something where they go digging in the ground and they look for natural gas, but they also look for water. Part of the problem with that is that it contaminates the water. It contaminates the water, and so it's a major problem. Water is the next aisle around, folks. And we have some of the best water. I'm gonna tell you how I got it. In 1993, in St. Thomas, Dick Gregory came to speak to a group called Small Business on the Move. And he asked his folks, he says, look, may I have some water, please? And they gave him some water from WAPA water. And when he drank it, he said, where do you get this water from? She said, this is our local water. He says, well, why are you all keeping it secret? And it was from there that I got the idea, because this is a man who has been all over the world, fasting, Vietnam and all of that. And from there, I decided to look at it. The same time, in 1993, Coca-Cola realized that everybody was moving away from soft drink, so they created a water, Dasani. That's when it came in. And then after that, Aquafina. I'm saying we have opportunity right now, at this moment, coming tomorrow or next year, to do bottling water. And I'm telling you, the amount of money, for example, Aquafina produces $1.1 billion of water a year. Dasani, over $900 million of water.
I'm sorry, if you don't mind me interrupting quickly. You're talking about WAPA water, the same water that'll come out browner than this table?
No, that's not the same water, miss.
Okay,
you see,
just ask a question.
no. You see, I don't understand what you're saying. The WAPA water I'm talking about is the one that comes right out of the pipe from the desal plant, not this
Not the portable.
7Cs kind of thing we're using there with osmosis. That's not the best water. I had a talk with Director Hodge, and I said, listen, we need to dedicate one of those desal plants because it's the best water you can get to this project. And I'm saying to you, if we do this project, what's going to happen? We pay $250 million for LIAC a year. We can produce, I know, over $500 million. You take the $250 million, you pay the LIAC, nobody here pays for LIAC. So if your bill was $150, you probably pay $50.
So you
Wait, let me finish. You take the rest of that money, you put in a $200 million into the retirement system, okay? Because they need a funding source that's sustainable, something that's consistent. And then you take some of the money and you put water to every home territory-wide. What it does is that it increases the cash flow. Everybody pays somewhere around $20 or less than that for water. You realize you're talking about maybe 1,000 people easy. That's $20,000 their month. I'm just being on the low level. When you do that, you have enough money now to take care of WAPA, etc. And the other thing is you buy new engine. New generation. It's like an old kind of new car. The old car used to work with condenser and points. We don't do that anymore. These new vehicles are more efficient, so therefore the new generation is going to be more efficient. The cost is going to drop. I'm saying to you folks, I want you to get on board. Since you have this program here, join me in this. Join me and talking to WAPA. And let's do this. And you're going to see the Virgin Islands change overnight.
You have a lot of faith in WAPA. Because you have a lot of faith in WAPA, but we're not gonna spend time in that.
What was about us?
No, we'll move on to something.
Good.
Go ahead, boy.
So you agree with me, well?
I agree with you. I like the plan actually, but in doing so, that means you're looking at employing from within a local workforce, correct?
Listen, we're gonna have our first industry selling water, and guess what? You know, after that comes flavor water, gooseberry, passion fruit, coconut. This is what we go to next. Listen, we have an industry here, right here, and nobody's thinking about it.
Okay, I agree. My question is,
Yeah.
The current workforce. We always have an issue with workforce. We always see people from all over the place coming to work in these companies that you're talking about providing.
They're coming
That-
from America and Puerto Rico.
America and Puerto Rico.
No, but you got
Foreign places as well.
those people
But-
right here.
Exactly.
They're right here.
Exactly, I agree.
Yeah.
But the workforce, according to Department of Labor, is down. We don't have the proper workforce of people to meet these criteria necessary to obtain these jobs. How do you address that, the workforce?
I was looking at the Common Core that the Department of Education is now moving to. I like it. You know, it just makes you think. It starts to create that thinking in our youngsters. But my problem with some of it is that we cannot forget some of the essential courses. For example, the essential things that make a community grow. The plumbers, the carpenters, the electricians. Those positions will always be there. So while we move into technology and we provide training for that, we still have to provide some opportunities for those persons who just don't have it. You know, there's some of our youngsters, they may be good, they just don't read all that well, but they're good with their hands and they can use that. So my approach is to increase that industry. In other words, when I was a student, I was an auto mechanic student. I would go to work in the afternoon to a shop and what you call on-the-job training. We worked for about 6 hours when I was 11 and 12th grade. Some of that is needed now. Some of that so that our people can, you know, perform a job and have a skill. You know, people talk about sports and all that stuff. Listen, sports is a competitive area, is a tough area. But if you give them a skill, in other words, it's like, you know, give a man a fish, eat for a day, and you teach him to fish and he eat for a lifetime. That's what I'm talking about.
But are you willing to change the law? Because right now, just to further expand on what Boyd was saying, a resident worker is considered anybody from the territory, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. So even if we have the highest IQ level individuals working here, as the law is written now, they could still bring in people and not hire local.
Well, let's look
which
at it
is
this
us.
way. Yeah, you're right about that, but guess what? I used to go to school in Puerto Rico. Same kind of law. You know what they do? They if you're a Puerto Rican and you come, you get a job. You could be the equal. We got to start supporting our own. Part of our problem, we want to go outside and we don't want to support our own people. And it's all people doing it.
So I mean, you're going to do better when the governor send down the jokey labor commissioners them that allow this to happen.
No, you see, I didn't want to go there with you. You know,
But you have to say it so because that's how it is.
I don't
because it's the labor
believe-
commissioner
no.
that in charge of all of this, and they're allowing it to happen. So
Well,
then that means the Senate now
have
are going
you
to
called
vet
that-
the commissioners as they come in properly.
Yes, we have to vet them properly.
And
definitely.
if they don't agree, because I think so, as far as I can remember, there's only one commissioner y'all said no.
Well, not y'all, 'cause he wasn't there.
Sorry.
I wasn't there.
Fair.
I wasn't
Sorry,
there.
the
he
Senate.
wasn't
Yeah,
in
well,
there at
when
the
I
time.
say y'all, I
I
don't
know
mean you.
what you're
I mean the
saying.
body.
You're blaming me for things I didn't do.
Oh, Jesus, Lord.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
But it was only the one, the education, the white woman.
Spamping
Spamping
out.
Yes.
But let's be honest. Let's
And
be
that
honest.
was it.
Listen, you know, in sometimes, you know, a person can come and they could give you a
Think
good,
that way.
yeah, and then they could, you know, show that they're doing such a great thing.
Yeah,
but
y'all
other
don't ask
times
proper
it doesn't. You have to, you know, you have to use the judgment. So
I want
you
y'all
know,
to take
So let me,
questions from the.
let me ask you this question.
Sure.
So now, assuming we make it back into the legislature, you know we've had, over the last 8 years, a legislature that really was like rubber stamp. For all intents and purposes. Not that everyone was like that, but that you could not see a line of demarcation between the first branch and the second branch of government.
Okay.
You being a more seasoned person, what do you plan to bring back to the legislature that you can assist even some of our newer senators into staying on focus as
Okay.
to what we can get the version
and
as
this is
it
what I
should
have
be?
in mind. Good question. First of all, our people have to learn that there are some key issues that affect the territory that must be addressed. The economy, the energy, education. So collectively as a body, we must come together and say, look, how are we going to fix this? What are we going to do to improve on this? That's what we must do as a body. Now, each and every one of us come with our own special interests. But when you build consensus, you develop a position of strength. And you develop a position where you can address those issues. What I've seen in the past since I've been out is a lot of I and individual. They don't have that kind of a. You have a majority, but the majority is scattered. There's no majority cohesive. When I was in a majority, I had a majority of 8. You know, the key for a majority to work is that the president and the majority leader must be in sync. They set the policy. The president sets the tone, sets the policy, and the majority leader carries it out. And so when you don't have that kind of strength there, the body doesn't function. Everybody does what they want. Somebody got to pull somebody in check. You know, it can't be business as usual.
So what are your priorities?
This is my priority. Well, clearly my priority is one, just what I just told you about, that water. That's one of my priorities because I know it's going to fix that. The next one is agriculture. You know, you haven't touched on it. But let me tell you what my plans for agriculture. You see what we're doing here in agriculture? You give somebody 2 acres of land and they plant about 10 tomato and 50 pepper. Not a joke we're making. No, serious.
Make it right.
No. My approach is this, that we give each person about 6 acres of land. And maybe 2 of you are farmers, but we got to give you some expertise, some help to do it. We're going to give you a stipend. And we have to say to you, you're only growing one product. So if we're growing green peppers, that's all you're going to grow. But you're going to grow so that when we harvest in here, the next set is ready to go. And so that we can go to the supermarkets and say, look, we can provide you peppers, not some Saturday and then you go back Sunday and on. No. Unless we do that, we cannot say we are helping farmers.
Production.
Yes, we got to do that, and the agriculture department should pay you for every item that you grow. Then this shouldn't be, the farmer shouldn't be out there selling by no roadside. No. The agriculture department picks it up, goes to the supermarkets, and they buy from them. All you have to do is take care of your family. You know why I want you to get a stipend? Because you need to go in the retirement system. Our retirement system needs more body. We need more people. That's how the system works.
So you're telling me the government should pay somebody to be in business?
Well, no, you're helping them.
No. I understand we are already receiving subsidies from agriculture, water, technical resource. We should help them.
Yeah, but when I say that, I'm not saying huge salary, because you're going to get monies for that. But you work it out. You got to give them assistance.
But we give you free government land.
No, that's not enough. Listen, that's not enough. That's not enough. You got to help them otherwise. That's not enough.
So in other words, you would definitely be sending money to the agricultural department.
No, you definitely have to do that. Not only that, I'm thinking that the legislature needs to do something different that we've done in the past. Since I've been there, I've been able to look at something. For example, a lot of groups come to us for money, but they give you a little bit of money here, you can't do nothing with it. So I believe it's time for the legislature to create an arm of grant writing. Start to set up, to look for grant. There's a lot of federal monies out there, but a lot of these small entities don't know how to administer the money. So the legislature now would hire some people to do the grant writing, but also to help them administer it so they don't get in trouble, because these people use the money and they get locked up. You know? No, I'm serious. So I'm saying, no, listen, we have to do things different. And you know what's the other thing? We have to have a body now of people.
But we're not locking up enough people.
Well, you see,
ain't locking
that's
up the
your
right
job.
people.
You fight the
And
people
we ain't
there.
locking up the right
Right
people.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm sorry, I digress.
Yes, well, yes, you taking me off of my way.
Go ahead.
The other thing is that 2 other initiatives I believe we should do. We should, right now, even though the economy is bad, we have a lot of Fortune 500 companies that are doing well. So we need to develop a cadre of individuals to go and search for them. Look at our place and tell them, hey, we can come to the VI. The other thing is this, is that we have what we call a trump card, but we have to do it the right way. You know what the trump card is? Tim Duncan Arena. We need to go to sit down and have a talk with Tim Duncan and say, listen, you know, St. Croix needs you now. We need to have your name associated with Arena, just like the Staples Center and American Airlines Arena. Because we need you to help us now. You know, we have to do a joint venture somewhat. But these are concepts that the right people with the right time can work.
That's a good idea.
I'm ready to do that.
And this arena is going to be on St. Croix.
And St. Croix,
Okay,
yes.
as long as you understand that.
Okay.
And that's
That's what I'm talking about.
I just
St.
wanna
John
make-
can't hold
I
Arena.
just want to make sure that everybody
And St.
here
Thomas can't hold it
understands
either.
that this
St. Thomas will find a way.
arena will
No,
be held.
I'm telling you, if
on
we do
St.
the right
Croix.
thing, listen,
Okay.
folks, you all are here in this panel, but this probably shouldn't end now. These ideas are noble ideas, they're attainable. We just need help. So I need your help. So you help me win and we can do all of that.
Well, let them know what your number is and where they can find if they have more questions for you.
All right, good. Okay, my number is number 6. on the ballot. You know, number 6 is supposed to be territorial wide, but I heard you got 6 over here too. I understand this thing. You know, when you run that territorial position, the number should remain the same, right?
Yes. Wait, so you have a different number?
Well, I'm 6.
Wait, I'm saying right? I mean,
Territorial wide, yeah.
Oh, territory wide.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, so don't miss it.
Okay.
Okay.
I got you.
So someone else is 6 over here as well?
But I don't know, man. I heard it had other numbers.
That's
from
what
1 to-
happens when you have a board of elections.
Oh,
who
listen.
aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
And the whole
And
quorum.
so
No,
the numbering that they have is not the correct numbering. In fact, they have them coming under the governor lieutenant governor. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, 7. But then you go to the Senate and there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they should have started over with them since they're in a whole different section. It should be 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They didn't do that because they're busy running around.
Well,
the
either they
place
started-
trying to get pardons for people to let them stay on the
From
listen.
order.
Anyway, let us know where they can find you. We know you're number 6.
I'm
Let us
number
know where
6.
they can find you.
I have a number. I have a headquarters up here up the road, and my phone number is 344-5800. And listen, you see that election thing there? It's time for one board. Too many boards
I
to have
agree.
these things.
Wow.
So when we come back, we can see one board. So when you make a decision, territory wide,
And that's
no
it.
more, and that's it.
I agree. All right, but thank
That's
you so
what
much
I
for being
do.
on the show. All
Thank
right,
you very much.
I'll be back in a moment with
Thank
Arthur
you.
Joseph. Back in a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay?
Yeah, man.
Good evening and welcome back to Vive Voices. We have with us now Arthur Joseph, who is seeking a seat in the legislature this year. Welcome back to Vive Voices. You've been here before. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me
All
back.
right. So let us know exactly why have you chosen to once again run for a seat in the legislature?
Certainly, if you, first of all, thank you for having me, Clint, Boyd, Emil, and Yoki.
Talk a little louder.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry.
You didn't know about
But they tell me you have to have a softer, gentler Arthur.
Who told you that?
Well, listen, all the people that I've been dealing with. Anyway,
Okay.
what happened is that in 2012, of course, I ran 9th at the end of the night, but we ended up 10th after they count the absentee ballots. And that was encouraging for me. Coming from, the law enforcement background, coming from first-time runner, first time running for public office, that was encouraging. So I said that we can't stop here. Certainly there's some things that we need to change. And we did just that, because you can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So what we did was we went on Facebook and we started to, I went out to work earlier to start the campaign earlier. But really, things never changed. Nothing really changed from 2012 to 2014. We talked about our economic stabilization and growth, improving public safety and confidence, and improving the quality of life. And none of those 3 action items that we have under our legislative action plan actually was addressed, actually changed. So we hope that we get an opportunity to serve the people of the Virgin Islands in this 31st legislature. I'm number 9 on the ballot, and hopefully that the folks can go out and vote for Arthur Joseph on November 4th.
How do we strengthen public safety and build confidence?
Well, first of all, we have to start telling people the truth. One of the biggest problems I found in public safety is that we lie too much, and that's a fact. The information we put out, we don't get out and actually do community police work anymore. We talk to folks on Facebook, we talk to folks on the media, but we don't actually, those leaders in the police department, you don't see them in the community trying to convince the community that they're truly interested in saving and protecting the community. We have to pass legislation that protects witnesses, victims, judges, police officers, jurors, lawyers. We don't really have those types of legislation on the books, like federal legislation that says if you address a federal agent's wife by speaking to her in regards to something that he has done, that's a federal crime, that's a federal offense, and it's a felony. Here, if somebody's a juror and goes to court and presides over a case and renders a decision, next thing you know, some cousin of the person who went to jail telling him, so you send my cousin, that should be a felony, because you should make people respect our structure of government, our legal system, and we don't have that going on. So we need to make sure that we build and strengthen public safety and confidence.
So
that can build people's
They
confidence.
say we
in
don't
our
have that
system.
going on because it's staff on the top. But who can police the police?
Well, definitely you. The community got to police the police. You understand? What's going on now throughout the United States? The community is policing the police to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. We're under a consent decree. And the only focus for that consent decree is to make sure that we root out individuals in the police department. That's what they're saying. But really and truly, it's about changing a mindset. How did we get there? There are people that have helped the police department get to where they are today. And acting like, hey, we ain't doing nothing, is their fault right now. But really and truly, it's our way of policing that should have changed a long time ago. We should have been doing more training of police officers. Young police officers should have been paired up with better, more well-trained senior police officers. It's a whole mindset that only training could take care of. And certainly the support of the community, making sure that we do what we're supposed to do, holding us accountable. Stop this standoff approaching policing. Start to hug your community, talk to the children, and go to the schools. That's the type of community policing that we need to have so that we and the community could feel as one.
Now, we know police, you're a police officer, right?
Sure.
And that's your strong point, because you're involved.
Well, that's just one of them.
That's just one of them.
Right.
Okay, now, let's now talk about the other aspects of governance which we need to focus on.
Right.
Education, economic development. I do believe both of them are connected.
Right.
What's your education plan? How do you achieve what you're planning to do in terms of education? So what is it, and what are the different points on the education plan?
Okay, when it comes to education, I think that one of the things that we fail to do as politicians is sit down and speak to the people that know what they're talking about. All the solutions can't come from us. You understand? We have to take the issue of education, break down education, for example, how we structure the educational system right now. You have a commissioner that's accountable to the governor. And then so people are complaining that we're not getting the monies to the schools that we should get to these children. So what we need to do is put the education board in charge of the commissioner. That's something that we need to focus on so that they're accountable to that board. Just like you have the election board. You understand, where the supervisor is accountable to the board. We have to break down government so the benefits reach the people. We got to talk about building new schools. We can't teach the children in these old schools that the permitting boards are falling apart. One filter for one of those permitting boards is $200,000. The federal government told us not to put them in Lumako School. What Lumako is? It's a historic building. We put them in the school, the same windows and the same desks that I used when I was going to that school, my son used. So where are we now? And then we talk about educating our children. In Sandy Brook, I think is where they had this shooting in the States. They knocked down a whole school. A shooting took place. What are we doing? We keep patching up the school and saying, oh, we're ready for the new calendar year. We really ready? No, our children need to be coming to school and being able to be a part of the world. Being able to touch the new school board should be a school board that has projections on it and could teach our children what's going on. It's one wall now. We're smaller, we're closer together today than we were 20 years ago. But our children are still being taught like we're farther away. And so we have to bridge that gap, Clint. We have to make sure that we get our children and just set aside all those differences, you understand? And focus on how do we build this community so our children benefit.
Economy.
Well, our economy, of course, everybody talks about how do you bring new money. But you first have to manage what you have. We keep talking about the government is broke, but we really are mismanaging our government. It ain't like we know that. Then we have to talk about small business. How do we grow our economy? We have to make tax incentives available for small businesses, people to stay in business, and incentives for people to start business, because that's the engine of this community. Mr. Henderson here is a small business owner. You understand? How do we keep him in business? So, because he's a lawyer, you're going to always be in business.
Amen.
But certainly there are other people who are in goods and services that need the help. You have a man that have a store that's selling malt and juice and bread and stuff like that. How do we keep him in business? We have to make sure that we provide incentives. We do it for big business, but we ain't do it for the people that are still here.
You're talking about small business. Let's talk about consumer protection.
Right.
We as the consumers, we feel each and every day we're out there by ourselves. We have inferior products in grocery stores. Go to all over. Go to furniture stores. The laws are not keeping up with us, and we are still being treated unfairly as consumers. How do you strengthen those laws?
Very good question, Clint. As a matter of fact, that goes to enforcement. The consumer protection falls under licensing and consumer affairs. Our government has stopped serving the people. And the only areas that we really concern ourselves with is maybe law enforcement and education. But you have just hit on a very good point. Our government have to, and I think we were talking about it earlier off air, our government officials, when you put a commissioner in office, his job is to be an advocate for the people. When you hire an attorney general, his job is to advocate for the people. When you hire a commissioner of health, his or her job is to advocate for the people and to protect the people. Now we ain't having that. So therefore, it seems as though the people are on their own.
So you mean in consumer protections, there are times when businesses would have to be shut down because they're not properly doing what they're doing?
Of course.
But can you please call the people of VI Restore Hope and let them know that when you shut down businesses, you're shutting them down because of inadequacies that they have in the protection of the consumers. I mean, there's some people with bad food, there's some people with old things, and you need to have to shut them down. Call them and let them know.
And it's
so they can,
policies.
so that they can
Of course.
actually amend the commercial they get running.
Those
about
folks
shutting
are
down
those
companies.
Those are the things that I have
like
a
a hate
real
group.
problem with in our community. The negative connotation, it keeps people in a certain place. And this is where we got civics. If we were teaching our children, you and I, and a lot of us at the age of 30 and 40, 45, we learned politics because we listened to our parents and we got involved.
Yes.
It's very difficult now. When I go to a young person and I walk in the streets, let me tell you, I'm going to be give out 1,000 cards because my boss ain't easy. She telling me where you went today, how many people you contact. So we when I go out there and I talk to these young people, they say, Mr. Mean interested. What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? And see, so the apathy is high when it comes to young folks. Now, you and I may know the benefits of being involved in politics, but when you come to these organizations that starts to mislead our people, you understand? You don't give them any more energy than they already have. I don't even pay them no mind. Because my wife was displaced as a result of the former Lieutenant Governor Kenneth Mapp closing an insurance company that what she didn't know that was not providing the proper insurance to the people of the Virgin Islands. They were taking your money. She walking in and she, they're taking the people their money and ain't able to pay a claim if something go wrong. Now, come on, what kind of business you doing that? So
And that business was shut down?
And the business was closed. I think it was Island National. They were right over here in Orange Grove. You have to make sure that that's the role of elected officials. Protect the people and even make sure that the people are protected from elected officials as well. Because we have elected officials that prey on the people as well. And so for me, it's all about character, courage, conviction, and the ability to put plans in place like economic stabilization and growth, strengthening public safety and confidence, and improving the quality of life
I think
for
it'll be
our
a new
citizens.
legislature with a lot of new people.
Well, I hope so. I hope I'm a part of
I think so,
that.
this
Because I
year.
want to be a part of a success for this territory. That my name, when they talk about Arthur Joseph, my son could say, that was my dad. My grandson could say, that was grandpa. You understand? And they could be proud. I have nothing to get. I have work to do.
No, but Arthur, you tried about it when you began. You said, people say you need to tone down and have a softer image.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna say this. Many a person have said, no, he's too arrogant. I'm just not voting for you.
Right.
What do you say to those voters who say, because you do your job well as a police officer, because they perceive you as being arrogant, how can you convince them to consider you for one of their 7 choices on the ballot?
Send them to me. Let me have a conversation. Because a lot of times people say this for what somebody tell them. But they never meet you. So I would like to meet them and convince them why they should vote for me. Because if you have an
But
opinion...
pretend like they're here now and
Oh,
tell
sorry.
them what.
Look in the camera.
Yeah, look in the camera and tell
Well,
them.
certainly. Thank you very much. Certainly, if you feel that about me, I think you need to give me an opportunity to speak to you. Let us have a conversation. And I don't have a problem with the constructive criticism. Maybe that's just going to make me a better person. Maybe they see something that I don't know, a habit that I have, you understand, that someone needs to bring to my attention. So that's how we make our politicians better. We have to talk to each other. It's like anything else. We can't push each other away. Come have a conversation with me. Let me know what those concerns are. Whatever I have done, maybe in my job as a police officer, that maybe you didn't understand why I took such a hard, firm position. You understand? Maybe you heard me shouting at someone. You don't know why. Let's have a conversation, and I probably will be able to explain, more than likely, what I have done, and probably if I did something wrong to offend someone, then I apologize.
So you're the kind of senator then that if you have an elected official not only sitting illegally, but taking funds to fix up the house and build guardhouse and whatnot, that you would push the fight to have them pay back the money or whatnot, because you spoke earlier about apathy and why people are not voting because they feel nothing is happening. But a lot of the young children, because I speak to my own children, they seeing all of this corruption and seeing that the body is doing nothing, they're just sitting back and allowing it. So they're like, so why should I even try to be good if, the biggest and baddest mafia is
Our government.
Yeah.
Our government officials.
But before you answer that,
For sure.
when you said sitting legally and then you said money for their house, you weren't connecting those two, right? Right.
I just.
You weren't, right?
No, I was not.
Right, that's
but
what I
guess-
thought.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, if you,
I'm always a lawyer, and so go ahead.
And thank you very much, Emil.
You're welcome. Now you can answer her question.
We have 3 legislative action plans, because when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. 2 years ago, we talked about economic stabilization and growth, public safety and confidence, strengthening public safety and confidence. And you speak to public safety and confidence in even public officials. You can rest assured, Arthur Joseph ain't gonna watch Mr. McFarlane doing something wrong and don't tell him, I love you. But just guess what? If you don't stop or you don't correct it, I will be sending you soap and cigarettes. Because one,
For the record,
my
for the
good
record,
name,
you do it already.
no, my good name means more to me than any amount of politics and any amount of vote. Because I have to still go home and live with Arthur. And therefore, as a result, and I have a legacy, my children, those are my legacy. I have to let them see somebody that the first person they look up to is me. You understand? So they have to be proud of me. If when I leave this place, they're gonna say, my father was this. You understand? And so therefore, if individuals get elected to public office with me, I hope I'm one of them, number 9, and you want to behave that way, trust me, I will not roll you under the bus. I will push you under the bus. Because the public interest is first. We must put this territory, we must put the district of St. Croix first. And election night, I know what's going to happen. You understand? And I've already been speaking to my boss about what's going to happen. You understand? And we already put a plan. So we say, you have to plan for the success of the territory. You have to plan for the success of your campaign. And you have to listen to what everybody have to say and make changes. I made changes, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago. After we evaluate where we were, how we got there, we didn't go and bellyache. And we ain't worrying about the naysayers and worry about what we did. We got up and we said, Arthur, you have to go out to work early. Arthur, while you're there to work, you have to change your shift, go to the night shift so that you can focus on doing other things during the day, which allowed me to put my business ADA consulting. I was able to go do some training, and I gave some services, free services to Lutheran Social Services, give a lot of young ladies training in distracted driving. I went to St. Thomas to do training. That's why I meet a lot of good people and realize that, listen, I'm not just running for me, because it's really not about me. I'm running to be a part of a success story of saving this territory.
Good.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, question, I'm we've been asking a lot of the police officers this question, and Yoki, decriminalization or legalization of marijuana?
Decriminalize. You have a situation where the court system, and you can appreciate this response, is really tied up with Arthur Joseph locking up somebody's son for an ounce of ganja. I mean, it's a reality, and the court now is backlog, and they have so much serious issues. They have to actually pick a jury pool and pay them if that young man say, me and pleading a case out. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So therefore, you have resources. It's an issue of economics. It ain't an issue of whether you for ganja or you for marijuana or you for or against. It's an issue of economics. Can we afford to continue to give young men our criminal record when this wall is really going to change and change on us fast? We're going through the same changes people in the 1940s and 50s saw with alcohol. Prohibition was a big issue. People were getting gunned down. People were fighting. And then white America, black America come together and say, listen, we're going to make this thing legal. But what we have to do is we have to talk about education, substance abuse problems that we know. Anytime you start to go down a certain road, you have to build up your healthcare system. Okay? And that's something that we're going to plan to
And
work
how
on.
do you plan to build our healthcare system? Because it's in complete shambles right now.
Well, first we have to have a plan for it. We have to start talking about
What's your plan?
We have to educate folks about the difference between healthcare and hospital.
Right.
Because some people believe that hospital is healthcare and healthcare is hospital. You understand? Healthcare is about diagnosing an illness, treating, prevention. You understand? Hospital is about acute care, where you actually go in, you get better, they heal you, you go back out. But we have to have a healthcare system that starts from the child and monitor the children them. We have to have a healthcare system that when somebody like Ovensa opens up, monitors our workers, monitors the people who are downwind of that plant, where they can walk into a healthcare system and say, well, check me to see if I have cancerous things in my system. We can't just rush into something and say, oh, we're going to get about 1,000 jobs and it's done. We have to be talking about the long-term health care of our community, of our children, and any investment that we have in this community. How does that investment impact our long-term health? Because without that, we're not absolutely no good.
But would your health care plan consist of erection and maintenance of parks within communities?
Of course. Clint, Arthur Joseph don't have all the answers. And we certainly need to come together and bring every stakeholder to the table and talk about how do we get a healthcare system back on track? Where did we go wrong? And how do we correct it? Not just talk about the problem and point to who caused the problem. Let's talk about solutions, solution-based legislation, you understand? And then we talk about how we can fix the hospital to make sure it's beneficial to the people at the Virgin. And before I leave, I think that what's important, just a couple of days ago, I had an opportunity to go to this meeting at UVI at the Tech Park. And UVI board was talking about the medical school. And I don't know how many people realize that Senator Riley has the bill to determine that says that the medical school must be built in St. Croix. Now, they're making decisions to build a medical school more than likely in the district of St. Thomas. I understand somebody don't put up 64 acres that they're on a hill. It's very sloped. So I don't know if they're going to lean it. But we need to focus on how do we get St. Croix senators to refocus and making sure they rally around preempting that issue and getting that brings economic development and growth to any town in St. Croix. We can't just talk it, We have to be willing to sacrifice politically and personally to benefit this district. Talk is cheap.
Well, that's a good question, though. You just bring up about rallying around senators being cohesive, especially
Yes,
St. Croix.
I think Senator Rocky Liburd talked about it before. Understand? When you don't have that cohesiveness, it don't work. Everybody going every which way.
I want to know how you're going to bring that cohesiveness.
Well, listen.
If elected.
Well, when you're a police officer and you come to a scene, you have to stop everybody from fighting them. And sometimes you got to shout louder than everybody else and say, stop. Everybody wait. We're here to work out what's in the best interest of that person who's ill, who's sick, who needs help. You understand? We're here to look out for that island, that district that needs help, that's sick. You understand? And we need to look deeply within ourselves and say, listen, what are we willing to do to sacrifice to make sure St. Croix is prosperous? Because like Clint had said earlier, and keep saying to every guest, a prosperous and economically vibrant St. Croix is a prosperous and economically vibrant territory.
And we need to stick to that. You need to get Mr. Liburd to understand that who says St. John first.
Well, there are some issues in St. John that we're going to have to tackle. We may have to go outside St. Croix to deal with those issues in St. John. And I will work with Rocky if he's elected. I've been a part of his campaign as an ICMA for years. I spoke to Rocky initial campaign in St. Croix down to Armstrong Ice Cream when I was a young, 20-something year old. So I've known him for a very long time. And any issue that he brings up that's near and dear to him, and any senator bring up, we have to make sure we prioritize them and fix them.
Okay. So with the short time we have left, let us know where we can find you if we have more questions for you.
Okay.
And what your number is on the ballot.
Okay, well, I'm number 9, Arthur A. Joseph, number 9 on the ballot. And I'm asking for your vote. I humbly ask that you go to the polls on election day and let me do it this time and vote number 9. I am certainly ready to work. I have a proven record of leadership and working with others in this community, over 20 years of service in this community, and I'm certainly ready, prepared, and proven myself to be able to serve you in the Virgin Islands 31st Legislature. I ask for your vote. Arthur A. Joseph, number 9 on the ballot.
Thank you so much. Well, tonight thank you so much. Tonight we've had a veteran and we've had a newcomer for the most part.
Well,
and your phone number?
My phone number, well, they can find us at 220-5357, or you can call me at 277-1970.
Yes, tonight we've had
and we're on Facebook.
A veteran and a somewhat of a newcomer.
Yeah.
It's a veteran.
To our show tonight. And as we talk about the importance of our election and the importance of where we are as a territory and where we plan to go. And it's very important that, again, that you be informed, that you ask the questions that you need to ask. That when you see them, you ask them those questions. And if they don't want to answer you, then more likely than not, They are not the people that we need in our legislature. But I remind you once again that it's very important that not only do you start to vote for those who are running for governor, lieutenant governor, senator, and delegate, but most importantly, that you look down and vote for those who are seeking office in the boards of elections. It is extremely important because they're the ones who are standing in the gap and standing in the way of us getting to the point that we need to get to for purposes of ensuring that people with integrity are sitting in the halls of our legislature and in the halls of our government. And I want you to remember that your voices make a difference, so make sure that they're heard. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the show tonight.